Welcome. It's Friday.
It's yet another Friday.
Another
Every other Friday, we get to have some good times.
And it's you and me. We're back. It's the original two that we do this.
For those of you that are just joining for maybe the first time or for earlier time, welcome. This is the Skype for Business video broadcast. My name is James Stark.
I'm Sean Wilson. We are both product marketing managers within Skype for Business, and we're here today to talk about meetings.
So we actually went back through our recent calendar of different shows that we've done. We've done security and networking and Cloud Connector Edition and a bunch of other stuff. And we went, hey, wait a minute. It's been a while since we've just kind of talked about the meetings workload. And so we're going to be demoing today.
It is going to be a demo fest. Let me be clear. But before I do that, I'm going to remind you, we have the Bing Pulse on the right-hand side. You're going to get questions prompted there to give you some that we glean insight from. But you also have the Q&A manager, and Paul, our colleague, is going to be off in the wings providing us the details of that information. But one of the things I really want to just kind of set the stage before we kind of dive into meetings is meetings have like a different lifestyle at Microsoft. It's almost a culture. And so when we talk about meetings funny enough, Jamie had to go and actually do some hygiene on his calendar so that you could actually see his calendar today, because typically at Microsoft, you're 2 and 3 deep every day and for meetings. And so it's part of our culture, but being part of our culture has helped us breed some of the best in class features that live within Skype for Business. And historically, we've inherited from OCS and from Link. So as we start to think about that, a couple of the things we're going to talk about is we're really going to cover 3 key areas. One is invites and what that means from an ad hoc perspective, but also what that means from scheduled and a little bit more formal structure. We're talking a little bit about participating, what it means to actually be a presenter and do some of the key things in that. And then we're going to talk about something that I think gets overlooked quite a bit, which is the actual managing of the meeting. You know, there's nothing worse than the dog barking in the background, right? Like you're trying to give your point and somebody's working from home and the dog is going and the doorbell's going. And so
or somebody's joined over their mobile phone and they happen to be on a motorcycle, you know, crossing a bridge. And so, you know, perhaps there's a little bit of wind noise there. But yeah, you know, one of the things we're thinking about is that there's just so many little features that are available in Skype meetings that I think not a lot of folks are aware of. And so our promise in this particular broadcast is that there's going to be at least one thing that even if you're a grizzled veteran of Skype, that we're gonna make the bet here that there's going to be at least one thing here that we're going to show you that's new, that's fresh, that you're not have seen before.
Actually, you know, something that we did not add into the actual agenda, but I think we should do, is how people are supposed to take meeting notes.
How people are supposed to take meeting notes. Okay.
Remember, right?
Okay.
Like the integration with that.
Oh, yeah.
tool,
That's
right?
a good point. That's a good point.
So,
all right. Yeah, sure. All right.
Excellent. So, I am being instructed that I am having a
wardrobe malfunction. That's perfect. Okay, so you know, again, we're doing a Skype broadcast here, and so the way that these work for sharing screens and for doing demos and stuff is that I've got my workstation here. This is my real live actual workstation. It's piped in as the video input into another workstation, and so then Sean has the ability to go and using the producer interface of the Skype meeting broadcast, he can go and he can flip over to actually showcase my workstation. So go ahead, let's flip over. So what we're going to do is we're going to flip back and forth between myself and Sean as we're going through and doing the demo. So one of the things that I wanted to start off with is just here. I'm in Outlook. I've got a little demo email that I fired up here with my colleagues. This is going to be one that I think is going to surprise some folks. So we talk a lot about kind of how to fire up Skype meetings from within the calendar. I'd actually like to first start and show you how to fire up Skype meetings from an actual email, which I think is kind of cool and kind of different. So one of the things that you can do is I've created a quick step here. Quick steps are essentially little shortcuts that you have within Outlook to be able to instantiate some function. And here, if I click on this this reply meeting, let me zoom into that. For these, I've got a whole bunch of these different quick steps that are all set up. One of those is to reply to a meeting, and a reply with a meeting. And essentially, this is like a macro that I can go and fire off. And what it does is it'll automatically take my email, drop it into a meeting request, and then automatically pre-populate all of the people within that email into the meeting.
And that actually, so it doesn't actually only have to be a quick step. That button does actually exist within Office 2016.
Oh, very nice.
Right? It's up in the left hand, just beside your quick steps, your ability to reply with a meeting. So
we've all had cases where you have these email threads that go on and are getting laborious. This is a really quick way just to say, hey, let's just bring everybody into a scheduled meeting really quick. Of course, there's also another path to do that as well, that if you want, you can reply to everybody with an instant message as well. So this is another kind of cool feature. So if instead of doing a scheduled meeting, you just want to be able to bring everybody into a conversation from Outlook into Skype for Business, super easy to be able to do that as well.
So show them what that looks like when you kick that off, when you hit reply all with an IM, so that you can see it actually kicks off the IM, brings everybody in that's available, and then as you send that becomes basically a group IM, so that you guys can continue the conversation. And you'll notice that in the title it actually
oh, there we go.
It actually has the title of the email in there, the subject line for the email, so people know what you're doing when you're contacting them.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, great for contact, so everyone understands. Oh, hey, this is about that particular topic we were discussing in mail.
Hey, so you just had that going. How would I take it? And let's say I've got that, and all of a sudden I wanted to make that a meeting.
So here we go. So I've got, where did that email go? Oh, let's do that one more time. So I'm going to go and reply with meeting. So now this is a normal kind of vanilla email request. So what I would do to turn that into a Skype meeting is just right here. Once you install Skype for Business, and you get the ability to have Skype meetings be created as a part of your meeting request just with one click. And so if I go here with my meeting, I click on Skype meeting, and it'll automatically bring in all of the information that's necessary for someone to join into that meeting. All of this gets pre-populated.
Excellent. One of the things I was going to say is so in that case, that's a scheduled meeting that you're doing. When you did before reply all with IM, that same capability enables you in an ad hoc fashion to have actually click the call button, and it creates a call out for a conference call to every.
Yeah,
well,
no, that's absolutely right. That's absolutely right. So if I go back to that, where are you? If I go back to that, oh no, I let it go. So if you do up into this IM, I click reply all. If I wanted to go and click call or click video call here, it would automatically create this ad hoc meeting. This is essentially the same as if I would take a bunch of folks from within my contact list. I can do the same kind of thing by highlighting a bunch of people with my contact list and saying start a conference call. So that's another way that if you highlight multiple people in your contact list, you can use this ability to then just instantly grab them all, drop them into a conference, and the conference calling service will automatically go and dial out to them and bring them into the meeting.
Excellent. Cool. So one of the questions so let's go back a little bit to scheduling the meeting. You schedule it. There's some general hygiene though that you really want to do when you're building a meeting, and this comes from the fact that we work across engineering product groups, the fast track center, business planning, and one of the biggest challenges is a subject line in a meeting does not tell you what the meeting's about. And so one of the things, this is not a technology thing, this is a best practice, is anytime you're going to send a meeting, send it with a clear agenda of who's responsible for what when they do it. Because one of the things that we'll show you in a little bit when you're a participant is when you actually do the meeting and you actually use some of the tools, it'll actually incorporate that right into OneNote if you use OneNote. So it'll include the contents of that meeting invite. And so it gives you a great basis for a framework to have agendas or any topics you need to discuss or who's on point to speak.
the other kind of cool thing that you can do as well when you're creating your meeting invite. This is actually a very recent feature that we just came out with. So this is something that folks may not be familiar with. But if you have your meeting invite and you get attachments into your meeting invite and you send those out to folks, those attachments actually now in Office 365, those become part of the meeting itself.
Yep.
And so those actually get pre-populated into the meeting. And so if you send, some kind of pre-read materials or a presentation or whatever, those are automatically available from within the meeting. So you don't have to have this kind of extra step of, once you're in the meeting, kind of bringing all of your materials, all your materials up and all your materials online. And hey, I just remembered as well that we've got Bing Pulse and we've got the Q&A manager. And please don't hesitate as the Bing Pulse is going on. Please go ahead and answer those questions. We love to hear from you guys. Yep. And as you have questions, go ahead and throw them into the Q&A manager. Paul is not only answering them, but he's also feeding them through to us as well.
Yeah, one that's there is there's actually some questions about Skype for Business Broadcast.
Okay.
For on-prem. So I'll make sure to address that right at the end.
Sweet.
I'll talk a little bit about it.
Yeah, very good. So shall we get into our meeting? So
I think we should get into our meeting. I think we should make this. You make it look so simple to be able to manage. Zoom it and being able to bring in. So I want to continue to see that as we move forward.
Yeah, if the Zoom it thing that Sean mentioned here, it's just a little tool that you can download from sysinternals. It's a set of utilities that Microsoft has, and Zoom it is probably the best possible tool that you can use for demoing. And the way that it works is that I've just got my mouse here and I put it kind of in an area. I hold down Control, I tap 1, and it'll just zoom 2x right into the area that I'm looking at, and then I can move my mouse around, and it'll actually move around the screen as well. Use this a ton. If there's like small UI elements and little things that you want to show, this is super handy.
Which is actually kind of remember we said you'd get one piece of insight out of this? You thought you were joining a meetings conversation, teaching you about it. But one of the things with that is that's actually great as kind of stepping into this next stage of what we're going to kind of talk about, right? So after you join a meeting, and we're going to talk a little bit about screen sharing, that's a great tool to really, if you happen to have something that's nuanced or small, to be able to drill right in on, right? Yep,
absolutely. And so one of the things I wanted to show here was all the different ways that somebody can join into a meeting. One of our goals here is just always to reduce the friction for people to use the software and for people to use these tools. And so you'll notice here I've got 3 different ways that I can join into the meeting. If I'm in my calendar and I have the calendar invite, I can click on the Join Skype Meeting, or I can click on any of these links here that'll fire off Skype and dial the dial-in phone number if I'm going to get into the meeting through dial-in conferencing. If I'm in the Skype for Business application, on the 3rd or 4th tab over, I've got my meetings tab. If you're running on premises, you have persistent chat operating, you may have 5 tabs.
And if you don't have EV or PSTN calling,
then you may have 3 tabs. But it's the
calendar one.
It's the calendar one on the far right-hand side. It's always going to be on the far right-hand side. Shows you the meetings you have scheduled. One of the cool things is that it'll automatically pick up if the meeting is a Skype meeting, and it will automatically give you the ability to join that directly from your client, or in your reminders here. It's amazing. I only have 1 reminder. Normally I have about a dozen. They're stacked up for different things that I'm waiting for. When I click on my reminder, I also have a join online link here directly from the reminder in Outlook.
And also, since we're talking about meetings, right? And 50% of the world is mobile at any given point in time. You have that same click to join capability directly in the mobile client as well. It does that exact same, it uses the exact same technology you saw in the client that populates the calendar and has the ability to join directly from there. And you can have full media functionality within Windows, iOS, or Android.
Another really key point that Sean's making here is that in addition to having a key precept around being able to reduce friction in joining meetings, we also have a key precept around all of the different clients that we have, whether they're in meeting rooms or IP phones or rich workstations or my mobile device. They all have the ability to, with one touch or with one click, instantly join into a meeting. And so that's, you know, even if I'm walking into a meeting room and I've got a Surface Hub sitting there, if I've added the Surface Hub as a resource into that meeting, then it's going to show up right on the Surface Hub. I walk in, I touch the button, and it immediately joins.
Yeah, you know, and that it's funny. There's a statement that now in the communities of Skype for Business talks about what the average time to join a meeting is, and you know, it's from 8 to 12 minutes, and it actually was a study done here. We did it with a small group of people, but the reality is that meetings, it's not specifically the joining the meeting that takes a long time. It's the coordination of getting everybody together to join, and so having that ability to have click to join directly from a calendar without actually within your client, without having to open up Outlook, really accelerates that.
Yeah,
speed.
Absolutely. And there were many times that I've had, you know, to beat the commute home or something like that. And I'm like, hey, look, I can actually take this meeting from the car. I can join it on my mobile device, walk into my car, have it connect up to the Bluetooth setup in my car, and actually have a really decent meeting experience. Just as I'm on my commute home. Again, I'm not sharing screens, I'm not doing video or anything, but again, having that ubiquity across devices is just super handy.
You know, and to that point, when we talk about it, is that ubiquity is not just for meetings, right? It's across all elements of the client. And yeah, this other day I was actually asked, hey, can you paint the picture what a day in life looks like? One of the pieces to that, though, that you're just talking about is also the broadcast meetings we'll talk a little bit more about. Because the broadcast is able to be consumed on any device.
Yeah, totally. Same concept, right? Yeah,
and on any device, and because it's browser based and it uses, I mean, it's encoded in like 7 different codecs. So that if you're on an iPhone, you get it in QuickTime. If you get it on a Windows phone, right?
Yep. So, if you're on the web, it's going to come in through streaming on HTML5. Yeah, absolutely. So. All right. So let's actually do the deep here and let's get into the meeting.
Excellent.
So Sean's gonna flip this back over to my workstation. I've got my reminder here. I've kind of cleaned up this stuff. I have one click and I'm going to join into my little demo meeting. This is one kind of key thing that I always keep up and running, and this is this join meeting audio dialogue. You can have this dialogue go away if you want. This isn't something that you necessarily have to have come up every time. So when I click on the meeting, it automatically starts up my audio and automatically starts up my video. The reason I actually have this running is that very frequently I have scheduled back to back Skype meetings, and so this gives me the opportunity to join into a Skype meeting without audio. And so then if I'm running late from one meeting to the other, and I know that this one meeting is kind of wrapping up, it's going to be a couple more minutes until we're done, I can join into the next meeting without audio and then instant message into that meeting and say, hey, apologize, my previous meeting's running a couple minutes late. And I can have multiple conversation windows running, but of course you can only have one media session into those conversations operating at one time. So I personally use this dialogue a ton. The other place that folks use it is in the call me at function. So if you want to have the audio, instead of it coming into your workstation, you want to have it repointed to your IP phone, your PBX phone, your mobile device, whatever the case may be. You can repoint the audio from that as well.
The one thing we're going to want to caveat that with is that ensures that you have the capability for dial-out conferencing.
Exactly.
Right? Yep. So if you're not using our conferencing or you're not set up for dial-out conferencing, that obviously doesn't work, right? But it does really save me quite a bit because I'll actually be sitting somewhere where I know I don't have the right quality of network and I want it to call me back on my cell phone.
Yep, absolutely. So I clicked into join. I've got my 2 colleagues here, Paul and James. Paul and James can hear me, but they can't see me yet because this is one of the kind of, oh, thanks for waving, guys. this is our people with glasses crew on the on the broadcast. This is awesome. One of the great things, of course, we don't automatically start up video. We want to be able to give folks the opportunity to join video, and so when you click on video, it gives you this great little preview window for video. So I can kind of make sure that my hair is okay. I can kind of adjust any lighting, and then I can start my video.
I would suggest, Jamie, is that you also people should be concerned about where their shirt is and whether it's buttoned or not.
I don't know if the folks over the broadcast can hear, but yeah, Paul Elegant, where we reminded that is some of the pre-meeting hygiene that we need to be doing.
Hygiene's a good word. Hey, by the way, we got no less than 6 responses about that. So but I want you guys to know that even though that happened, I think this broadcast is going great. So I just wanted to give an emergency affirmation to Sean and you folks.
Excellent.
Thank you so much. Yeah, that means a lot, guys. Appreciate it. Yeah. So now we're in the meeting experience, and so just we're going to kind of talk through what some of the participant actions are, and then we'll kind of go through how it is to manage the meeting experience. So on the participant actions, I kind of talked about the video piece here. All of these controls right down here in the bottom center are kind of the core media controls for a meeting, and of course they look very familiar because they are taken straight from Skype.
Yeah.
So the ability to mute and unmute my microphone, the ability to present, and then the ability to go and hang up from that conversation. Let me just zoom in on those, and you can see what those look like right in the center of the screen.
And so one of the things to mention, like when we made the transition from Link to Skype, we really took a understanding that we understood that 300 million people use Skype every day, and we understood that. A lot of the feedback that we got actually from Link 2013 was that, hey, you've given me a lot of functionality, but I don't know how to get to it. Right. And so what we've done is we've actually flattened that interface. And so if you can do me a favor and just bring up the present, so you can give an example. Instead of giving you a bunch of options of how you could see things and then hover over whatever, we really simplified it down to the core, and then that will open up whatever dialog box you need to be in to get to the next stage.
Yep, absolutely. Excuse me. So when you click on that nice flat panel icon, I get a few different options right up here at the top. These are the most common things that folks do in meetings: presenting their desktop, presenting a particular program, or presenting a PowerPoint file. And again, if I have my PowerPoint file already sent in the invite, then it's automatically going to be showing up here under present PowerPoint.
Yeah, in Office 365.
That's true.
Those of you that are on-prem, it is an online-only feature, and that's one of the benefits, right, to the cloud, is you get some of this innovation where all the systems are tied and integrated pretty tightly. So. Yep,
absolutely. I can bring in attachments, so essentially, if I have PDFs or Word documents that I want to share to the meeting, I can bring those in. I can access either my notes in OneNote, or I could have a shared OneNote experience. And then under More gives even more different types of options here: whiteboard, poll, and the Q&A for the meetings experience. One of the things about whiteboard, another kind of super great trick around whiteboard, I talked a little bit about how if I'm running late to a meeting, I'm in one meeting, I'm running late, I won't join audio, and I can use instant messaging. If nobody's there in that second meeting, and I know I'm going to be running a little bit late, I can join that meeting, fire up a whiteboard, and then just type into it, hey, I'm going to be a couple minutes late. Give me, I'll definitely be there. And it's just as easy as clicking on the whiteboard, firing up the text and saying, hey, I'll be there in 5 minutes.
And another one to this that's actually good is because it's persistent, right? Is in a scenario that's used, I don't know if any of you know, but I came from IT. One of the things that we actually did was whenever we had a bridge that we were all on, that people were coming in and out of, like a war room bridge or anything, it actually was a great place for us to keep a persistent conversation. So if an engineer dropped on, or there was a alert or an update, people could hop in and out of this bridge, and this was a great place to keep this. And at the end, it could be saved as a image, right?
Yeah, so, that's right. Yeah, at the end of this, you can take this whiteboard and you can save this as an image. You can drop that straight to OneNote, and then of course you can cut, copy, and paste, and bring in all different types of media in here.
Yeah.
So one of the things that once you start doing presentations, once you start bringing PowerPoint files and that sort of thing, you notice that we shift to the whole look and feel of the client, and it really now focuses on exclusively the content. So we definitely still have all of our participants here, and we can, if we want, bring them back into a gallery view layout up here. But once I move to content, we actually want to make the content front and center. We want to make that important. And so that's where we redesign the UX to where the content is straight up and is right there taking the full screen.
And what it does is it actually does a voice switched video so that whoever's actively speaking, active speaker comes up, but you've still got that content. Now, if you're, just as a side note, and you might want to show them, is if you do the gallery view and you happen to have 2 monitors, one of the things you have as a capability is to pop that window out. So you have the capability to pop out the video. You want to show them where that is?
Absolutely. So what I did is I just went up into here. We'll talk about all these other UI controls that are up here. What I did is I moved it to gallery view. And now gallery gives me the opportunity to scale my video this way, right? And then I can also pop out the video screen into a separate window, and then I can have that be full screen as well.
Yeah.
So lots of flexibility in this, and this is actually a really common thing that I do, is that I'll have all the participants in one screen, and then I'll have all my content happening in the other screen.
Yeah. We're sitting here, we're actually talking about this, and it's kind of good because I'm hearing a little bit of audio in the background, right?
Yeah, that's right. So
somebody's making noise, not a dog barking, but they're making noise.
Couple different ways that we can manage that. One is I have the ability, just by right-clicking on somebody in the gallery view, I have the ability to have a bunch of different controls. First I can mute that person. I can drop them straight from the meeting. I can make them an attendee, which means that they don't have the ability to present content. I can lock the video spotlight on them. So instead of having multiple video views, I can instead just make sure that everybody is just seeing Paul in glorious full screen.
This is a great tool if you're presenting to a group of people, and let's say there's 8, 10, 20 people on the call, but there's only one person presenting in the room, or there's one person that needs to be focused on.
Yep.
This is a great opportunity. It locks it. It enables the person to be on video so that other people can't change it. However, there's some other things that were in that as well, which was pin to gallery, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
with the pin to gallery, that actually ensures that the person who is up here is going to remain up there regardless of whether or not they're speaking.
This is a great example of when you want to see your boss, his view, or even a direct. When somebody is sitting there, or even like, hey, 3 levels up is in the meeting and he's got his video going, is a great opportunity for you to control who you see. And the reason this is important is because I might want to see the reaction of my boss, even if my boss isn't going to say anything. Right?
Yeah,
like
definitely.
I'm making a conversation. I'm having a conversation about something, and you get the proverbial like thumbs up or the eye roll or the want to be involved. Or more importantly, this is actually where I find it the most valuable. We're both very active talkers, right? And so I'll be in a meeting and I will be very conversational, whatever. If you have somebody that's a little bit more reserved and you have their video pinned because you know that they're more reserved, what they will actually do is they'll have non-visual cues or non-verbal cues that they're trying to say something that gives you the opportunity to say, hey,
to jump in and to bring them into the conversation.
Yeah, hey, right? Alex, I see that you want to be able to say something.
Totally.
And that, you figure that non-verbal cues, right, are over 50% of the message. So.
Yep, absolutely key. The other great use case for this, sales managers absolutely love this feature, right? So every Monday morning, you're talking through the forecast, you're talking through the pipeline. You want to see the whites of the eyes of your sales team, right? When you're saying, okay, like here it is, it's it's the end of the month and we need to bring in all the deals. Like when one of them is isn't talking and is just doing this, like then perhaps that's a place to go and explore some more about where things sit. Let's go ahead and flip it back over to the screen, because in addition to all the controls that we have for that are against a particular that I can do when I right click on somebody, I have a lot of those same controls as well when I right click on them in the roster. And this section here On the left is the roster. I bring it up by clicking on this button in the upper left-hand corner of this participant list. The other really critical thing that this provides is an insight into all the different modalities that folks are connected with. The reason this is critical is that you can tell if somebody has their video working, you can tell if somebody's muted, you can tell if somebody's seeing the screen. So there are a lot of cases if somebody's dialing in over the phone and they don't have the ability to see the screen, you know that. If you call out somebody like, yeah, you know, I want to hear from James, and there's a big pause as we're waiting for James to talk. It could be that James is talking, but he's muted. That's right, and you can see, oh, hey, James, I think I see that you're muted.
Well, actually, and one of the things that's interesting to that is it also, you get to find out who's not muted and who's actively creating noise, right? So there's a couple things. One, if you happen to look, you'll see that Paul in this case is unmuted. Or did he go and mute himself? I can't see now, you zoom back out. But one of the things is, how can you tell who's speaking, James?
Yep, right here. So as you see in here, when the difference between this as kind of the dark blue and this is the light blue, this means that I am adding audio into the call and that Paul is adding audio into the call. And you can see here that I'm the one who's doing the active presentation because I started up the whiteboard, and that Paul is watching the presentation. There's
another key to this that ties into that is you can see Paul has the blue line underneath his video when he's speaking. And that's a great idea, a great way for management, because if you've got 6 or 7 people on there and there's a few that are unmuted, but you have one that's creating a lot of audio, you can actually see. So if Paul was to speak right now.
Well, now because I'm muted,
you muted.
I'm sorry, because I zoomed him.
Because
I zoomed in, it's a static image right now, but you can see how I'm creating audio because I'm unmuted. You can see that this blue line is here. If Paul says something, there we go, and we zoomed him in, and so now we see that there's a blue line underneath Paul that indicates that he's speaking.
You can also tell what the status of somebody being muted right from their image, right?
Yep, absolutely. You can see right up here at the top, I've got James. I can see that James is muted, and now I'm going to mute Paul, and you can see that the mute symbol comes onto Paul. And then Paul, of course, gets a notification that says that, hey, a presenter muted you, and you have the ability to unmute. But this starts to get into a little bit of the managing of meetings, and some of the more sophisticated features that exist just underneath the covers here. And so some of those are down in here, down at the bottom. So first, I can always invite more people. When I click on invite more people, I get a nice big list of all the folks in my contact list. But of course, I can also, just from within the Skype for Business interface, I can click on somebody and I can just drag them straight into the meeting. I'm not going to drag in Alan because that would be mean. And then if I want to do some more sophisticated actions against the participant list, I've got this kind of really robust set of capabilities here. So I can, as a presenter, I can hard mute the whole audience. I can make sure that nobody is sending IMs in the meeting. I can turn off video for attendees. I can hide everybody's name.
You can make everybody an attendee.
Let's just do that.
So let's do that. But also to making everybody an attendee, I'm going to go back to me first to make sure you get this. So there's a philosophy around meeting participation, right? There are people like yourselves that are attendees that are consuming this information, right? And those people that are truly attendees are there to be gleaning information from the meeting. They might be needing it for an inform or whatever. There's then what's considered a participant. A participant is somebody that is actively engaged in the meeting. Now, there's another element to this, which is a presenter. And a presenter is actively having to deliver information, manage the meeting, being able to do those. Now, of those, it all depends on where you want people to be. Because if you in the function that we have of a presenter and attendee, is that an attendee has limited functionalities of being able to manage content, being able to change settings, things like that. And this is where meeting hygiene is important, because if I've got 25 people on a call, I want everybody but the people that are are actually presenting to be attendees.
Absolutely.
And that is something that you learn to do in your meetings. And you learn to do it after a couple of meetings where everybody's presenters and they go and they take over as presenter of your PowerPoint presentation and seem to go 4 or 5 slides ahead of where you are, right?
Yep.
So,
yep.
go
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well,
I'll move it back.
Yeah, totally. Couple more quick things to talk about, and then we'll get into some of the Q&A. So up here in the upper left-hand corner, super important piece of user experience that we want to call out. Right next to the ability to choose your layout is this expand. What this will do is this will make it into a full screen mode. What's great about full screen mode is that if you're sharing this, like if I was sharing this out to a projector or that sort of thing, and I wanted to be able to have the maximum amount of real estate for my participants and for my content, we're removing all the other Chrome. I've got a really easy way to do that. And if I need to have any of the controls, I just go up to the side and I have the ability to go and kind of tweak my controls. So if I just wanted to go back up here and make sure that we're just doing content, I can go up here and do content. If I want to make sure that I've got both content and speaker, then easy enough, go into have speaker view, and then I've got myself and the video for Paul up here. So anytime that you're in a Skype meeting and you don't need to have the controls resident there, and you're projecting out to a projector, a fantastic thing to always use that full screen. And oh yeah, by the way, of course, when you go out to a projector, Skype for Business is smart, and it's going to say, oh, you're projecting. Oops, you're projecting, so therefore you must be presenting. And if I look at my contact card right now, you'll see that I am currently presenting out here.
Which shows do not disturb.
That's right.
Right? Unless they're in your work group, right?
Totally. So super handy that folks know that I am projecting out here, in this case to this broadcast. And so anyone that sends me an IM is going to get a reply saying, hey, Jamie right now is in a do not disturb. All right. So last little piece that we wanted to talk through is the ellipses down here at the bottom. A whole nother set of kind of great features that I can record this meeting just on my workstation. I can bring up the ability to manage my recordings, and then I've got 3 additional features around meetings, where I can bring up the meeting entry information. So this will bring up the URL and the audio dial-in information. So if I need to go and send that asynchronously to somebody, I have the ability to do that. And then if I want to do even more controls on the meeting itself, I can bring up the Skype meeting options. And those are really controlling about who is coming into the meeting as a presenter. So this goes straight to what Sean was talking about earlier, about how do I want to have control over different folks that are in the meeting and different permissions for them. So this is a really great way for me to control specifically, who are the people that are going to be waiting in the lobby, who are the people that are going to be presenters, and in some cases maybe I want to have anybody who comes into my organization be a presenter, or maybe it's only specific people that I want to have scheduled as presenters. And I can do this either here in the meeting, or I can do it in my scheduling.
In your Outlook.
That's right.
As soon as you hit create Skype meeting, it then gives you the Skype options, right? The meeting options where you can do these same features.
Totally. So I'm going to go ahead and sign off of the meeting, and then we're going to flip back to the Q&A here for the broadcast. Paul, James, thank you so much for hanging out. Really appreciate it.
Excellent. So we've got actually quite a few questions.
Yay!
So there's an easy one here that I really want to handle, because even though you're the Cloud PBX guy, somebody asks, when's Cloud PBX coming to Spain? Guess what?
Really? So when is Cloud PBX coming to Spain?
Cloud PBX came to Spain on 12/1 of 2015.
Hey, very good.
I got the answer right. No, I think what they're actually asking is, when is PSTN calling coming to Spain?
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. So this is a key thing to understand. Cloud PBX, this isn't a meetings thing, we'll talk about it. Cloud PBX is available worldwide, and anybody can use Cloud PBX with their existing on-premises telephony circuits. You do that using software. If you're an existing customer, use your server, either 2013 or 2015. If if you're a new customer, download the Cloud Connector Edition. Great session with me and the lead engineer, Bill Vertine, on Cloud Connector Edition a couple weeks ago. Go ahead and check that out. We talk all about it. The PSTN calling is, we're currently in preview in the UK, very, very close to getting that up and running live. And then, of course, we're going to be releasing out to some additional countries in Europe over the next year or so.
Okay, excellent. Hey, one of the things we said, this was all about meetings, but we've got a lot of questions about broadcast, and we didn't touch broadcast.
I know we didn't touch broadcast at all.
So
I think we could probably do a whole broadcast on just the methodology and the process that we use for these broadcasts. Honestly.
I think we should do that. I think we should probably bring Greg in too.
Yeah, that would be great.
He's the product owner for broadcast. Let me give you a little a quick background on the broadcast meetings, just so you can understand. So how broadcast meetings works is it actually uses your Link 2013 or Skype for Business 2016 client, right? Skype for Business client, and it actually has producer controls in it. And what it does is when you actually join the meeting, it fires up a meeting in our meetings pool that actually has all of us in that inner meeting. So we're like in a Skype meeting. We've got functionalities of presenter and mute and video and all that, with a couple of additional things. The ability to manage content and video, or video and content, as we've done here. The other one, though, is that it then also spins up a stream that sends it to Azure Media Services. And that's what you're consuming right now. What you're consuming is actually the video stream from Azure Media Services delivered globally. And so it's about a 30-second delay. Because it takes that stream, it encodes it, and it delivers it globally.
You'd almost think of it as like that there's an agent that's hidden, that's in the background, but it's listening to the meeting, that's getting all of the content from the video, that's getting all the content that you're sharing if you're sharing a presentation, and it's packaging all that together and sending that out to the Azure CDN, and then the CDN then delivers it out to the world.
So one of the questions, though, about broadcast was, hey, what about on-prem? I have Skype for Business on-prem. I want broadcast. I will actually publish it on the Yammer site. It is on TechNet, but it is totally available for anybody that's on-prem, as long as you are set up with Office 365 to have Azure AD in place, and you do have at least the meeting organizer at a bare minimum is hosted in the cloud.
Yeah, so essentially you need to have a tenant. You have that tenant configured with your on-premises deployment with split domain. There's some pretty great documentation that's out there that describes exactly what you need to do to set that up. And this is one of the big things that we want to be able to do is, as we develop more and more cloud services and they make sense for us to be able to have them available to customers running on premises, we want to be able to do that. So you kind of get the best of both worlds, where you still have your on-premises deployment as you need, but you can take advantage of these great cloud capabilities that we have just as a function of running in Azure.
I mean, and if you think about it from a hey, we talk about cloud. Why is the cloud a big deal? If you think about what it would take from a capacity standpoint to spin up a 10,000 person conference.
Yeah, exactly.
And then leave that. So, I mean, think of it from large enterprises. They spin up this big enterprise video distribution system, and production crews the whole bit. And then they finish the meeting, and they might have one twice a year.
And it sits idle.
And it sits idle. And what we're able to do is we're able to elastically expand and contract into the cloud.
Totally right.
So, and it is, we'll set it up, but it is a federation as well as the split domain, so you can use it. Let's see. The meeting. Was there a category, or is there some type of rights management for meetings? That actually, a lot of the meetings in I wouldn't say rights management specifically, but that comes into that meetings controls and being able to set a private meeting, who can attend. One of the best features that's out there is anybody that's not on the invite can't join, it waits in the lobby, or anybody but the organizer waits in the lobby. Gives you a great opportunity. I'll use an example. Salespeople do this all the time because they don't want to have an overlap of meetings like you have and have one customer in while having a conversation with another one.
Exactly.
So
exactly. So no, you can configure that all from either from within the meeting, if you forget to do it beforehand, or from within the invite. You can say, who are the folks that are going to arrive in the lobby? And you can have everybody be pre-staged in the lobby, and then you get a notification from within the client of the folks that are in the lobby, and then you can admit them one at a time. The other thing that happens here is that for folks that are coming in from your domain or from a federated domain, that's all strongly authenticated. So you know that the person who is coming in is actually coming in using their AD creds to be able to authenticate into that meeting. So it's it's an even stronger kind of path there.
Yeah. You used Zoom, and we were having a meetings conversation, but there's a lot of questions about this Zoom tool.
Yeah, okay.
And where they can get it.
All right, so Sean will put the information on how to configure Skype meeting broadcast with hybrid into the Yammer. I'll put the link to Zoom it into the I do love this tool. Anybody that does demos, as part of their kind of day-to-day work, I think it's tremendously handy. There's a bunch of kind of great little tips and tricks you can do with it. You can even type into the thing and it'll show up on the screen. But just getting the practice of just from doing demos of you kind of talk about a thing, you kind of introduce it, you show it, you zoom into it, and then I love just leaving it on that Zoom thing and just kind of letting folks absorb that. I think it just helps to be able to make it that much easier, especially on these smaller UI elements, to be able to call those out and be able to talk to them. So yeah, no, it's a fun tool.
Excellent. Well, we took up 45 minutes talking about this. and to that point is,
and we didn't even, there's a few things we didn't touch. We didn't talk about the lobby. We didn't talk about broadcast.
Yep.
We didn't talk about dial-in.
Yeah, you know what? Let's take just a moment to talk about dial-in.
Okay.
Because one of the pieces out there is you've got a lot of our customers. Obviously, we've got some on-prem customers.
Yep.
They probably are using it for online meetings. They might or might not have it set up for audio conferencing.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the biggest benefits actually to going to the Microsoft Cloud and going to Skype for Business specifically is as of 12.1, and we continue to expand, we actually have that cloud PSTN conferencing
Absolutely.
built into Skype for Business that's available for customers.
Yep.
And the reason that's important is, I'll use the example of 2 weeks ago or last week, I guess, you were at the camp thing, right?
Yeah.
And so he's off at camp and he's not able to join the meeting. And we don't ever expect him to be his camp with his kids and not expect him to be there. But we need an answer to the meeting. So what do? We add a participant, but we add participant by dialing out to a cell phone.
Yep.
Another element that's key with this is that, as you start to think about the different scenarios of how people work and how you have the capability to bring people in and out of meetings, is a lot of companies are actually have Skype for Business, but they're also paying for a PSTN conferencing service.
Exactly.
And
no need to do that.
There's no need to do it.
Absolutely.
And one of the big ones we see, even internally at Microsoft, is we actually see not only the decline in the actual PSTN conferencing, because once people realize they get the full modality and they can use it from their device for Rich or even PSTN for when they need to call in, they realize that they don't need that separate conferencing service.
And then a lot of times, the PSTN is really just used for connecting up with customers or partners that don't have Skype. But even then, if folks, are in front of a computer or they're in front of a browser, they can click on the Join Skype Meeting, and that link is smart enough to know, oh, if I have Skype, I'm going to instantiate the Skype client, I'm going to join that automatically in the meeting. But if I don't, I'm going to keep that web browser open and I'm going to bring up the Skype web application.
Yeah, and that Skype web app is a full-featured video.
Yeah, it literally looks exactly the same as the Rich client that I was showing you here, with one very small difference, and that is full screen is currently not available in the web app, browser. And we are working on that. Yep. I promise. I knew that was going to come up as a question.
So one of the asks to you is keep the requests coming on what you want to bring,
absolutely,
what you want to hear, and what's valuable for you, right? Because you are our audience and so keep Yammer and Twitter coming and
yeah, totally. We can do more kind of demo fests like this. We can do more things where we're talking with engineers. We can do more things that are more deeply technical. So we've got a fairly long list of content coming up for the second half of the year. It's crazy to even think that this is it's already mid-June. But yeah, this is always an absolute pleasure. Thanks for hanging with us for a slightly longer Skype video broadcast.
Excellent. Thanks, guys.
All right. Thanks, everyone.